everyone. In today's episode, I'm so delighted to be joined by two amazing guests. My first guest, Sam Ramadori. Sam is a recognized private equity expert and president at Brainbox AI. Sam has significant experience in identifying investment opportunities and supporting management teams in developing and executing growth-oriented business plans. My second guest, Saeid Vosoughi. Saeid is manager AI architect at Brainbox AI. Having experience in machine learning applications like computer vision problems, energy management state systems, as well as development and system design. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
I'm good too. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So before we begin, tell us about Brainbox AI. And both of you can jump in and share your thought on Brainbox AI and what's your role at Brainbox.
Perfect. Thanks again. Thanks for having us today. Very much appreciated. High level, Brainbox AI has over the last now almost 4 years developed the world's first autonomous artificial intelligence solution that gets applied to HVAC control systems in commercial buildings. And it is in essence bringing to what is used in a self-driving car that automation based on artificial intelligence to buildings and their single biggest energy user within a building, which is the HVAC system, in order to render it autonomous in how it optimizes its operations on a daily basis. So it's a game-changing application. We're quite excited as a company because I think it's clear to everyone, commercial buildings is an enormous market on a global basis. And when you tie in things like increased urbanization, when you tie in the need to move to renewable energy, having an impact like that on commercial buildings really could have a very large global impact, period. So quite excited about it as a team. Saeed, anything to...
Well, just echoing what Sam said, Brainbox has tried to bring new technologies into the HVAC industry and try to find progressive ways from cloud computing to AI and data analysis and deep learning, find a way to respect this industry and the requirements and how it is already established, as well as finding a way forward and to have all these brand new and modern technologies working in harmony with what is existing already in the buildings.
Definitely, and this is the need. Like with COVID-19, there has been a lot of discussion around the spread of virus via HVAC system. Like people are so much concerned that with office, schools, retails, residential buildings, there could be a spread of COVID-19 virus with HVAC duct. And the layout and design of a building, as well as the occupancy and type of heating, ventilation, and the air cooling system, they all can impact potential airborne spread of the virus. Well, I did a bit of search on internet as how HVAC systems can also help stop the COVID-19 from spreading. And I came across the Airborne Virus Mitigation Program by Brainbox AI. So tell us more about the program.
Perfect, and I'll let Saeed get into the more technical detail side of it, but what's the base of our technology is basically using the autonomous AI to learn how an individual building operates, and more specifically, how the dozens or hundreds of zones in that building behave. And the goal there is to be able to predict the future. Today's building automation system doesn't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes. Really what we're giving it is that visibility of predicting what's going to happen in the next 6 hours with over 99% accuracy. Then with that, we use the autonomous control a capability of AI and say, okay, how do we optimize the dozens and hundreds of pieces of equipment in that HVAC system? And today we give it the goal of energy savings and comfort. So those are your two goals. Don't stray from one or the other too far or none at all. But what's interesting is once you have that autonomous learning and automation capability driven by AI, you can then give it an additional goal to the AI, it's the same kind of what the end goal is. So in the case of the COVID issue, the CDC and the industry ASHRAE Association released settings that were better settings in order to reduce the lifetime of airborne viruses in the air. And those settings are, relate to humidity, temperature, air changes in a room. And so we're able to feed the AI, these are your new objectives, please optimize to those. So, and what that allows is both to implement those settings in the most efficient way possible, but also to do so on a really rapid scale basis, because we can deploy those optimization objectives across an entire portfolio of buildings very quickly, as opposed to what is the other alternative, the HVAC control support firm or the building manager having to go into the system and manually make those changes. And then those become static changes made once, as opposed to dynamic changes that take into account outside air quality, outside temperature, etc. So quite exciting that that's what the autonomous AI capability gives us.
Sayed?
So from a technical perspective, I would say this airborne virus mitigation program is a natural outcome of the technology which has been developed by Brainbox. Meaning that when you are having a technology which is introducing a remote control and cloud-based control of the buildings, and at the same time it is based on studying the buildings and optimizing based on the data being extracted from the buildings, you are always working with, okay, it's optimization, I'm working with constraints. And like Sam mentioned, today the constraints might be just the comfort and the energy saving, but tomorrow it might be now a health factor coming in play, which is how we can mitigate the airborne viruses which are in the building and how we can help with this problem. So to Brainbox, this whole pipeline from the data and from the optimization, it lets us add any factor required to our analysis and to our decision making, which lets us come up with new control scenario which can help with the airborne virus mitigation.
So it's these set of rules that goes into the system. So today it's temperature, humidity. Tomorrow you can modify the rules, and that's what's makes the system unique, because you have the flexibility to drive those rules depending on the current condition.
Yeah, even maybe one step ahead of it, meaning that these are not necessarily just the rules, but they are constrained which end up our AI engine coming up with the proper rules needed for that control. So the constraint could be, today I just want to bring the most comfort. Tomorrow I might want to bring comfort, but at the same time, let's use the least energy possible. And the third day, it might be, no, the most important is to have the proper ventilation for the airborne virus mitigation, and then at the same time save as much as I can save.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part of it, because you have the control of the platform and you know how to drive it into operational excellence. So now if we attach the cybersecurity piece to it, because we know vendors and integrators are working remotely, and with systems being accessed remotely, there's a potential increase in cyber threat. And we have seen a massive increase in the cyber incident linked to ransomware and phishing emails. And Brainbox AI platform connects with HVAC system to pull the data in and push the insights. So what are the security measures in place to mitigate the risk of a cyber incident?
So we should remember that even before this whole COVID situation happens, Brainbox was doing remote control of the building. So this is the business we have been in, and this is what our technology has been designed for. This goes from all the modern encryption technologies to providing private source of connectivity to buildings, to isolation of the local connectivity and the remote connectivity, so that we can mitigate any sort of issue happening from exposing. The foremost concern for Brainbox in terms of connectivity is that we do not want to and will not be exposing buildings any more than they are. In fact, in some fashion, either we are just being digested by the existing security measures in the buildings, or we are building our secure channel, which is by no means any, introduces any exposure for the buildings. So I would say, about the COVID situation, not it's almost the business as usual for us, because this is what we had been doing. But more and more, we have been doing it, and we are finding always ways to make this security better and better, use all sort of common practices and standard practices in the industry for IoT systems, for connectivity, and for encryptions, to make sure we are not introducing any exposure for the building networks.
Sam, would you like to add anything to it?
Look, cybersecurity is always a concern that kind of increases over time, especially it's across industries, right? Never mind just buildings, but it's across industries. The advantages of using cloud computing are becoming more and more clear, so everyone's moving in that direction. I think what's important is that we're seeing that within our customers, that the interest and willingness to go in that direction. And we've been able to Saeed's point, satisfy customers that we can bring an additional layer of security there, and we've done so with quite sensitive buildings, such as airports or data centers and whatnot. So I think it's top of mind. We understand that very clearly, and we on our side ensure that we're able to address any concerns and make sure that we keep things rock solid, if I could put it that way.
Yes, and as Sayed mentioned, that it's a security first approach that is embedded in the design, and we have seen when you have the security first approach, it works. And along with the cybersecurity best practices that Sayed said is being followed at the organization level. So it's a culture of security. So I think and that's what makes the product secure, the combination of the security by design and the cybersecurity practices, what makes the difference. And I think HVAC being the critical component in a building, this is what we need. So, we have heard and we have read a lot about the deep learning models. And Brainbox AI applies deep learning models to building HVAC data to react to the changes, like you said, based on the rules. You change the condition and the platform reacts to those certain rules. So how these learning models are embedded, and what are the key benefits that the platform is providing to the building owners and managers?
So what we are actually trying to do, as mentioned before, is finding ways of bringing technologies to the HVAC industry so that we can save energy, we can bring comfort, and we can respect any sort of other constraints that our customers are concerned with. That being said, nowadays, like you mentioned, there's these deep learning methodologies are becoming widespread, and everyone is talking about them. And the reason for that is that we are actually getting to a point that they are, we have got to a point that they are possible, right? Because there's all the data with all the IoT industry and the sensors and everything. There's possibility to gather the data with the cloud infrastructures. It has become possible to store the data, and with the modern computational technologies, it has become possible to process the data, and then all the methodologies built on top of that. For HVAC industry, the interesting point is that all these components have been already there, but there was a need for someone to actually use that. We are talking about an industry that inherently has been involved in vast deployment of sensors and extraction of the data, and has been, the IoT industry, the IoT frameworks have been vastly used in this industry. So there was just a need for someone to bring this all together and actually use it in a pipeline. So that was was what Brainbox did. Brainbox is connecting, is storing that data, is processing that data, and then we get to deep learning. Deep learning models have proven to be very, very efficient ways of doing predictions and decision makings where there's vast amount of data, which is the case for HVAC industry. Therefore, we are using the data gathered for using, training deep learning models, and then those deep learning models are what are providing the insight. What Brainbox is doing is that, like Sam mentioned, it's like you are introducing an autonomous control of the buildings. When you want an autonomous building, you need, the first thing that you need is a pair of eyes, right? You need to be able to see what is happening so that you can decide what should happen. And deep learning is what is telling us what is happening and is helping us decide what should happen. And again, like I mentioned, it is all based on the possibility of building the proper data pipelines needed for deep learning to be trained and also to be put in production based on the real-time feed of the data.
Sam, would you like to add to it?
Sure. Look, I'm not going to be able to match that technical description, but certainly I think it's, as a early technology, we're seeing more and more applications to artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, a lot of them are in the backgrounds, being a financial firm or be them on our daily use of our cell phone. We don't see it. What we like about the Brainbox is that the output, at least to the building owner, the building manager, and even the occupants, it's an application of deep learning that has a very evident benefit that can be easily seen. And so, we're quite excited to be bringing that use of deep learning in a very live, real environment as a benefit. And so, both for the building owners and occupants, but also for the planet. So for us, it's exciting to be using the latest, and we'll say the results are pretty sizable. So there's not a lot of debate on the benefit or not. It's at this point here for us a matter of, okay, how can we scale? And to your the main topic here today, how do we scale in a way that makes the building owners comfortable, right, from a cybersecurity perspective.
Yes. And we have seen, like in industrial sector, we have seen how deep learning models help in predictive maintenance to save on the downtime. And the same with Brainbox AI. Now the building managers know, to Saeed's point, what is going on in the building and what should happen. So before we sign off, one key takeaway, and we start with you, Sam.
Like any technologies, new technologies to the market, new ways of operating, where we go up against the challenges. And today we're focused mainly on cybersecurity. That is being one of them for our application. And we're excited by the fact that we're getting over those hurdles, getting the customers more and more comfortable dealing with these issues. And that for us, we've had a rapid deployment in the last 18 months out of the gate on a worldwide basis. And we're super excited by that and want to keep driving that. We think as a company ourselves, the more hurdles we get over, the faster we're growing, the bigger impact we make to the climate change fight and improving the situation in buildings in general. So this is one hurdle that we've talked about today, and the use of AI has a number of others, and we're happy to be seeing that, getting past those and getting into the phase of growth. So for us, that's super exciting.
Saeed?
I just want to again mention that, something that I think us Brainbox as a company collectively learned very well was how we should be, when you want to change the way things are done in an industry, it always starts with knowing the domain, knowing the industry, knowing what is already happening, and then finding a way to respect everything existing and find a way forward. Like all of the cybersecurity concerns that we're discussing, these are things that have been there, right, and have been addressed in certain ways in the industry. So again, I think for any new technology that wants to find a way through, it is always important to find what is happening already in that industry, and then find ways to respect that and to find an addition to bring value to that industry. And that's what we're effectively trying to do from a technology perspective.
Definitely, yes. And thank you so much, Sam and Syed, for sharing your valuable insights as how building managers can prevent the spread of virus, optimize operations, and ensure tenant health safety. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Harsha.
Thank you.